worst part of it is the unknown. Because sometimes you just don't feel like you have control. And I never let it define me. And I mean, it sounds so cliche, but I really went through life being like, yeah, this is what I have, but I do know that everyone has something. It might not be as extreme, and it might be more extreme. My name is Collin Krzyzaniak, and my health topic today is going to be Tourette syndrome. When I was first diagnosed, it's been a while now, so I was actually 12 years old, which is pretty common for someone to be diagnosed with Tourette's. That's kind of when the symptoms and whatnot kind of come about. I don't know, I kind of grew up just a pretty normal kid, I think. I was into sports. I've had the three same best friends since I was 3 years old. Collin, Sammy, Jack. I still talk to them every day, which is kind of special. So shout out to them because they're have been a huge support for me. I don't know, it's kind of a cool story for myself because I was in band class. I played percussions and I played the drums when I was younger. But I was trying to read the music, in the sheet in front of me, and I just kept blinking uncontrollably. I kept waving my hands around. The whole thing. And the conductor, the teacher he stopped the whole class. And everyone looked at me. I just always remember it's in my mind, but everyone looked at me and I'm moving and I don't know what's going on. So he starts yelling, obviously, because it's disruptive. So I ended up leaving class. I kind of just walked out because I kind of felt like I was on display. So I went to the school psychologist. So I went to her and I was obviously having this kind of outbreak of tics that I didn't know were tics at the time. So yeah, I laid down on her and she didn't really know what was going on. So the nurse tried, bring me in her office, and I laid down and she put this wet cloth on my face. No idea what to do, which I don't blame her. So then the psychiatrist I knew pretty well. She came over and she saw I was in the room and she goes, "Why is Collin laying down, blah, blah." And essentially, I explained what was going on and she said that I needed to come with her. And, she brought me into the psychologist's room and they kind of started questioning and asking, my symptoms and how long has it been happening. So I kind of just explained my experience and, my tics and movements, and that was really kind of how I formed the diagnosis path and going to see a doctor. So that's kind of like the first day that in my mind that kind of starts my journey with Tourette's. The CDC, the last statistic was 0.6% of the population has Tourette's. It's why it's under-researched, underfunded, but, I got it from somewhere genetically. So I looked into it and it was actually my mom. So she always had these, they call them habits or, little things. So she'd always, now I'm doing it. Thinking about her makes me do it sometimes, but she had this little nose, she crunched her nose up. So that was kind of her thing growing up, and a few others. Diagnosing Tourette's back then was so much more rare than it is now. So she never knew she had Tourette's until, I was 12 pretty much. And I got diagnosed and she goes, "Wait, I've been doing that my whole life." I don't know, my diagnosis took a long time. To be honest, it took a few years, I think, to really crack down on what I really had. So no, it takes a while, and I got put on a lot of medications, and they're for antipsychotics, ADHD, depression, something to kind of just subdue the tics. So to this day, I don't take medication for Tourette's at all. I found different ways to cope, relaxing, working out, playing soccer. After my diagnosis, I feel like I always took my Tourette's in stride. I was actually really, really glad. I remember when I got diagnosed and there was a term to what was happening to me, I smiled. I was super happy. Anyone with a brain story probably can attest that the worst part of it is the unknown, because once you know what you have, you can do that research and you can get involved with certain communities that, relate to you. So One of the first things I did was, and another huge support for me growing up, was the Tourette's Association of America. Anyone seeing this right now that may have Tourette's, go to their website because they have outstanding support and resources and groups for Tourette's. Essentially, I joined a program of theirs that allowed me to learn more about Tourette's myself and then go to schools around Connecticut to teach, different schools and places about Tourette's syndrome. And there's a lot of misunderstood and misrepresented facts and phenotypes, if you will, of Tourette's before diagnosis and after diagnosis. My persona, my personality kind of changed because I learned that there's this genetic mutation that is going to cause that's with me for the rest of my life. So there's definitely adaptations and kind of shifting how I approach life. That was a major thing for me. So it makes my life much more difficult than if I didn't have Tourette's. And I'll give an example. Growing up, my tics have been, they wax and wane, as we say. I can go to sleep tonight with one tic and wake up tomorrow morning with a new tic. They just come and go. So I've had multiple different tics. When I got my driver's license, I drove on the wrong side of the road because I needed my right tire to hit that yellow line because it was hitting on the left side and it needed to be even. When I was younger, I used to tap hot stoves on literally my right index finger, or my right ring finger. So I tap hot stoves not knowing, and I had a tic where I wink. I've been slapped in the face by girls who thought I was winking at them, which I was not, but it looked like it. At the end of high school, I used to swear, which is a super, super important point, for this, is that Tourette syndrome and swearing aren't the same. Like, it's not the same thing. A lot of people, and this is always misrepresented in TV shows and movies and etc., because I think it's like people think, or they use it as like a comical relief in media. So there's a term for it, and it's actually called coprolalia. So I had coprolalia, and it's only a small percentage of people with Tourette's that have it, and I don't have it right now. I don't have any tics that I swear, but that definitely made my life super difficult. If I felt like a day was gonna be bad with my tics, I'd stay home from school. So I also have OCD, which I call Tourettic OCD because it's not probably normal OCD. So that also affects me, and that's really important for people to understand as well. Those are little ways that my tics can really get involved with my life. Just everyday things that I never would have thought out before my diagnosis. I feel like I'm very fortunate, and this is something that I've realized. But just being myself and my personality, I never let it define me. And I mean, it sounds so cliche, but I really went through life being like, yeah, this is what I have, but I do know that everyone has something. It might not be as extreme, and it might be more extreme. And also that, with my tics throughout my life, not everyone can see my tics as much as, someone with coprolalia or someone that's yelling constantly. I never wore it as a, kind of a shame thing. I kind of wore it like as a badge of honor. So I graduated my master's in healthcare genetics. So I'm really going a genetics route, and going from my PhD, it's kind of how I got involved with the United Brain Association. I was really interested in finding out more about Tourette syndrome, and I just did a Google search, and it brought me to a bunch of different places. So I emailed UBA, and I asked them if they had info and if they did research, because I didn't know too much about them at the time. Then a year had passed, nothing came of it. We got back in touch, I think about a year and a half ago now. And they did the original brain story on me. And then they asked me to actually join their board of directors. So I'm a board member now. The UBA has given me so much as well, helping me with my confidence and giving me what I need to succeed in school. They've helped me. I wouldn't be here without that. So going forward, I actually just got accepted to a PhD program. So in the fall, I'm going to University of Arizona, and I'll be studying neurogenetics. And honestly, the reason for this and the reason why I'm even going to a PhD is to be able to learn research tools and techniques to be able to study Tourette syndrome in the future. And I can't talk about research in the Tourette's field without saying three names. And this is something that I need to do because these three individuals have, I've only known them for a short time now, less than a year. But I reached out to them when I reached out to UBA to just try to get more info. And they have, gone above and beyond. One wrote me a letter of recommendation. One offered me to help out in his lab if things didn't work out. And one I just had like a 2-hour conversation with about, everything and nothing, just when it was supposed to be, a formal conversation. So Max Tishfield doing research, Tourette's research at Rutgers. Tom Fernandez he's a clinical and research fellow at Yale, and Jeremy Wilsley over at University of California, San Francisco. If you're interested in Tourette's research or you want to know more about the research going on, definitely look at their lab. They're amazing guys, and for me, mentors, and I'm going to try to emulate my career based off what they do. I already have a few neurogenetic labs at U of A that I'm lined up to rotate with and probably join. And that's really going to allow me to better understand gene discovery and kind of understand how to create genetic tools for advanced therapies for Tourette syndrome. I think the most unexpected thing about having Tourette's would be it probably being the biggest blessing of my life. I love having Tourette's because not of what it does to me, but of what it allows me to do to others. I have met so many kids that have been recently diagnosed from the age of 6 to 13. I've been able to go meet with them, some at UConn, some in my hometown, which didn't know who they had Tourette's. And I've been able to really help them along their journey, find the right doctor, find the right support system, and, put them in contact with different nonprofits. So just to see them kind of grow up, it reminds me of myself a lot. So it's so cool just to, see them take power of their Tourette syndrome and, go through life ready to, tear down every obstacle. Because honestly, that's what it's all about. And once you can take control of that, then, what's a diagnosis? In high school, advocacy started being more important, but I hated advocating. And I hated educating and talking about it just because I didn't have the confidence I do now with it. Yeah, no, I didn't understand why I had to, and my mindset was kind of bad of, everyone has something, so why do they care that I am talking about what I have? But then I got older and I realized that, I'm not doing this for me. I'm not doing this conversation right now for me. It's for those people that are, undiagnosed, that have Tourette's or are newly diagnosed. So that's the really importance of advocacy with any disorder. So if you do have something and you're holding on to it, take a second thought to maybe share that, because there is someone who maybe not be as strong or is having a harder time or doesn't have that support system. They can really benefit for it. It's not for ourselves. I think my connection to UBA has been everything. It's been everything to me, and I know I help them a lot. So the relationship that we've bloomed is kind of beautiful in that sense. They've helped me through school. They've provided so many things for my success. And they're just generally people who want to help the world and help people. And that's something, if one thing you can probably get from this is that I want to help people. So my ideals aligned with theirs a lot. I wouldn't have joined if that wasn't the case. So just great nonprofit, doing amazing things. And, like I said, it's all going to be in the future as well. So there's going to be much more to come.